Hey everybody, it's Andy from EX2 Adventures. I want to go over some logistics to go over the 3 loops of the Rocky Gap 25K, 50K, and relay coming up this Saturday at Rocky Gap. So first of all, if you haven't checked out the race website, which I hope you have, there's lots of good information. There's a link to the race day information email that I sent out earlier this week. You can check that out. There's a description of all 3 loops. There's maps and there's little preview videos for all 3 loops, Loop A, Loop B, and Loop C. And there's also kind of like a handy little summary of both the 25K and the 50K and the 25K course with the locations of the aid stations. So we open check-in at 7 a.m. on Saturday. The 50K starts at 8:30 in the morning, and the 25K starts at 9 o'clock in the morning. So when you arrive at Rocky Gap, this satellite image is a little bit out of date, but basically you're going to get off the highway, Route 68, take a right if you're coming from the east, and just head towards the park. There's a big sign that says day use area. We'll have signs that direct you to race parking. You'll go through the guard shack here. You don't have to pay the entry fee. And you're going to come in. This looks a little bit different now. They redid the parking lot about 2 years ago. But you basically come in, and we're going to stage out of the Mountain View Pavilion, which is this big pavilion right on the left-hand side of the major parking area. The casino is over here, just to reference you. So when you come in, you'll come into the Mountain View Pavilion. That's where you get your bib, get checked in, all ready to go. We're also going to have one of our big 20 by 40 white tents set up. We're going to probably modify the setup of the race because of the forecasted rain coming on Saturday compared to what we did last year, to kind of compact the area a little bit and provide as much cover as possible. But this is where everything is going to happen for the race. So we just to the left, if you're looking at it from the top of the main parking area. And as you zoom out a little bit, here's what the lake looks like, a mountain in the background. Okay, so let's go over the loops. And so the race is 3 loops. So Loop A, Loop B, Loop C. If you're doing the 25K event or the 25K relay, you do each one of those loops once, and they have to be done in order. So it's Loop A, Loop B, Loop C. If you are doing the 50K course, you do those loops twice, but in order. So Loop A, Loop B, Loop C, and then again, Loop A, Loop B, Loop C. Again, if you're having a relay, any runners can do any loops they want, but those loops have to be done in sequential order. So Loop A, Loop B, Loop C, and then Loop A, Loop B, and Loop C. So let's go over each loop. So before I do that, one thing I want to make clear is at the beginning and end of each lap, that's happening at the Mountain View Pavilion. Every time you leave at the start of a lap, Loop A, Loop B, Loop C, you're always leaving the pavilion, running up here, and going in front of the casino. And I'll show you that when I talk about the groups, but every single time you're going and running in front of the casino. That's how every single lap starts. Loop A. Okay, so Loop A is about 6.5 miles. It's a big clockwise loop, basically around the lake, plus this really cool section of trail called the Rocky Trail. So you start the beginning of the race. You're going to run up this little gravel road here, take a right, and then run in front of the casino. And then there's a single track trail that picks up right pretty much after the entrance of the casino. You're going to run that single track around all the way until you get to, this is a paved road that goes to the dam. This is the first of only 2 splits of the 3 loops that you're going to see on the course. At this split, you're going to see a sign that says Loop A and C, take a right. Loop B continues straight. Again, this is Loop A. So at this particular split, you're going to take a right. You're going to go past an aid station on the dam. And you continue on Lakeside Loop Trail until you get to the second split. So there's going to be lots of these big yellow signs, and it's going to say basically which direction you go depending on which loop you're on. So again, we're doing Loop A. So at this sign, you're going to see, at this intersection, you're going to see several signs that say Loop A, go to the left. So you climb up this thing we call Evans Ravens, which is just a steep gravel rocky climb, and then you take a right on Rocky Trail. You take Rocky Trail all the way around, and then it's going to connect with Settlers Path. You take Settlers Path down to the top of the Hickory loop of the campground, follow this paved campground loop around, and then it'll eventually lead you back to the Lakeside Loop Trail. Follow Lakeside Loop past an aid station on the beach, and then follow Lakeside Loop all the way back around to the pavilion. That is Loop A. All right, Loop B. So again, you're starting at the pavilion, going to do the same thing. So run in front of the casino, take that single track trail right past the casino. And then you're going to take the Lakeside Loop round until you get to that dam road. Again, this is where that first split was. So here you're going to see signs that says Loop A and C go to the right, but you're on Loop B. So Loop B continues straight. You go up a very steep section of trail, but it's short. And then this is going to connect you to the Canyon Overlook Trail. And you follow it all the way back down to this road, which is an old dirt double track road called Old Hancock Road. You take a right at Old Hancock Road, past an aid station, and then you take this really awesome trail down into this gorge and then follow it back all the way up this ridge back to the Park Road. At the Park Road, you take a right and run the road all the way back past the casino to the pavilion, which is again the end of and start of the lap. That's Loop B. For Loop C, it's basically running the Lakeside Loop, so all the way around the lake. So again, you're always starting at the pavilion, always running past the casino. So you run up this little hill here, follow the sidewalk, past the casino, onto the single track trail, follow Lakeside Loop all the way around, past an aid station at the dam. And again, at this split here, you're going to see the sign. So B said go straight, which you don't want to do because you're on Loop C. And you're going to see a sign that says Loop A and C, take a right. It's very, very simple. Only two places you're going to have to make a decision. Go past the aid station, and then continue the Lakeside Loop all the way around. This is where the second split is, right here. You're going to see signs there that says C, go straight. So you're going to continue straight on Lakeside Loop, all the way around, past the aid station on the dam, or excuse me, on the beach, loop all the way around, and then back to our staging area in the pavilion. So that's Loop C. Again, you do the loops in order. So Loop A, Loop B, and C. If you're doing the 25K solo, you do that once. Loop A, Loop B, Loop C, you're done. If you're doing a relay, okay, it doesn't matter to me which teammate does which loop, but you have to do the loops in order. So Loop A, Loop B, Loop C. If you are a relay team, you transition your bib. We have a bib with a timing chip on it and a number belt for you that you can use if you want to. Once you go through our timing area, then you meet your teammate and you switch the bib and you continue on to the next loop. That's the same for both the 25K and the 50K. Okay, if you're doing the 50K, you do Loop A, Loop B, Loop C, and then Loop A, Loop B, and Loop C in sequential order. All our post-race activities, so all the food, it's going to be here after the race inside the Mountain View Pavilion. It's a permanent structure. The base camp area, so that's where we're going to have our main aid station. So the aid station's out in the course. We'll just have water and Gatorade. But the base camp aid station here in this field, just in front of the pavilion, is going to have all sorts of food, including cheese quesadillas and soup and granola bars and cookies and that sort of thing, and water, Gatorade, coffee. You'll have that every time you go through. So you're going to see that at the beginning and the end of each one of your laps. If you want to leave something, there's plenty of room to set up tents. If you want to set up a pop-up tent, just please make sure you stake it down in case it gets a little breezy on Saturday. There's also tons of field space. So you could, if you don't have a tent, to stick it in a garbage bag and leave it somewhere. You're going to run by there and it's going to be really easy to find whatever you leave. So there's plenty of space. So don't worry about it being too crowded with all the runner stuff. You have plenty of room. You can really leave it wherever you want. That's going to make sense for you. So that is how things are going to work. Again, check-in starts at 7 a.m. It's still going to be a little dark when you get there at 7, especially if it's cloudy and rainy. So in the parking area, by the way, you park right next to the pavilion. So there's plenty of parking. If your teammates, while they're waiting for you, if they're cold or whatever, go to the car, turn the car on, get the heat going. You have time to do that. So please, take good care of yourself. But again, you don't have to go very far to park. Bathrooms, one thing I didn't mention. So the main bathhouse is right here. So we're going to do check-in again, the Mountain View Pavilion. That's where all the magic is going to happen on race day. This is a big set of buildings. The bathhouse is in this building here. There's bathrooms, there's showers, which is going to be open through the duration of the event and you're free to use. So we're really looking forward to seeing everybody on race day on Saturday. Get a good night's rest. Please drive careful on your way to the park. And we can't wait to see you on Saturday. Rocky Gap, 25K, 50K, and relay. See ya.